field status variant, document types, and one more, right?
Did we complete posting keys as well? I think not, right?
No, we went up to
No.
number ranges and all. No
Okay.
posting.
I mean, posting key, you have told us like we have to use these kind of some posting key list you have shown us. But
Okay, so it means posting case is completed, document types completed, and number ranges. Are
Number
you able
ranges.
to see my screen?
Yeah, number ranges we
yeah.
completed. We went through. Yes.
Okay, so I think until this we completed. Am I
Yes.
correct?
Yeah,
Yes.
you're right.
Okay, okay. And our company code is K100 only, right?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay, okay. So then today, so we will go to the next topic, the tolerance group. So basically, what is this concept and why we need to learn this concept in SAP Finance, especially? So the reason is basically there is a situation usually in every business. So we have different kind of employees is there. Like the designations is different. If you consider the R2R and O2C and P2P also, we have a different designations. Like we have end user, super user, power user, assistant manager, manager. So likewise we have different designation people is there. And within that, so we need to group that employees to particular group. And if you want to restrict that group into particular GL accounts or into particular some amount, some maximum amount, so again we need to use this concept. For example, in any organization, if you have some group of employees, so we can control that group of employees with some postings into the SAP. So that's the reason we used the tolerance groups concept. So here I mentioned very clearly authorization is given to the employees for the maximum amount permitted for transaction in SAP. We know, like for example, if it is a end user, so we are giving maximum authorization to 5 lakhs. And if it is a super user, then we are giving maximum authorization to 15 lakhs. If it is a assistant manager, then we will give to the authorization is 60 lakhs or 1 crore. So this is commonly happen in every business. Why? Because based on the designation of the employees, so we will give some certain authorization to amount to post into the SAP system. Correct? So for that purpose, we used this concept. So again, the SAP tolerance we have in the general ledger accounting, and again the tolerance we have in accounts payable, and again the tolerance we have accounts receivable as well. Anywhere the simple meaning and the simple concept, if you want to control or if you want to give some authorization to group of employees to the maximum amount of documents is posted when we posting entries into the system, we used this concept.
Right.
Okay, so the tolerance basically we have 4 type of tolerance. So the first tolerance is tolerance for GL accounts, and the tolerance for employees, and again the tolerance in accounts payable and tolerance in accounts receivable as well. So what do you mean by tolerance in GL accounts? If you want to control some particular GL account also, it means there is a one GL account which is a rent GL account. If you want to put some maximum amount of that particular GL also, we can use same this concept, tolerance group for GL accounts. At the same time, employees, that is common. So if you want to put some tolerance in the sense for the employees also, same you use the same concept. Okay. Next point. So
Yes.
here theory I mentioned very clearly the maximum amount can enter as a line item in a vendor account or our customer account, and tolerance group is created and assigned to the employees. This is common. So then how we will define the tolerance groups for the employees in SAP? So we need to use this transaction code OBA4. So I will open the system. Okay, the transaction code is OBA4. So I need to click on new entries. So here for our practice purpose, usually in this educational server, we didn't given any authorization group and all, but when it comes to the real time, again, based on the company requirement, so we will give the authorization group. Why? Because this is the educational server, and usually this server we provided 50, nearly 50 students. So because of that, we are not giving any group. Okay, so if you maintain some group here, what happened? So the remaining other users is unable to post some entries and all. So we faced that type of issue also. Just for our understanding, even if you want to post some documents in our company code in upcoming, so we need to maintain this setting as mandatory. So that's the reason I need to click on the new entries and I maintain my company code. And in this company code, so here, so I need to maintain some transactions, some maximum transactions per document and some maximum transactions for in open items. So the very important point is in general meaning, in general way. So usually we call some outstanding expenses and prepaid expenses. I hope you know what do you mean by outstanding expense and what do you mean by prepaid expense. Outstanding expense means we need to pay in future, and when it comes to prepaid expenses is already we paid, advancedly we paid, right? So
Yes,
that
yes.
things in SAP we need to call as open item. Okay, we don't call as outstanding expenses and prepaid expenses. Instead of that, in SAP, we need to call as a open item. Open item in the sense, so we need to pay in future. Okay, especially the outstanding expenses.
This will
And
this will help the system to amortize the expense, something like that, or
correct,
it is a
correct,
diff.
correct.
Okay.
Especially, see, whenever whenever we are doing some transactions with the vendors, so immediately we are not paying amount to the vendors. So there is a payment terms concept, like there is a terms and conditions between vendor and business.
Yeah.
And we paid after 30 days, 45 days, 60 days based on
What?
our credit period.
Yeah.
But the point is before that, we need to know how much of amount we need to pay the vendor. So in that case, this is very helpful for us. So even we have transaction codes as well in GL account level and vendor level, customer level, how much of amount we needs to pay. For that purpose, we have 3 GL accounts like FBL1N, FBL3NN and FBL5NN. That GL account, whenever we executed that report, that open item report, it is executed in the system based on especially these type of settings. And the cash discount as well. So whenever we posted any transaction, so let's say, for example, if you want to put some cash discount restriction. So we know, so whenever we went any one shopping mall, so usually that shopping malls, the price is fixed. Even the discount is also fixed. But there is a scenario, so in the shopping mall, particularly our relative or our friend or something person is there. So whenever we are going with some discounts, even the system is also not allowed.
Mm.
It controls the system itself. So that things also we can maintain in this place. So in real time also, see if that person is our friend or if that person is our relative also, he can't help. Why? Because the system is unable to post the entry. So
Yeah.
without invoice, so we can't take that things and all, right? So these things in SAP, how it will controls with the help of this cash discount per line item. Let's say, for example, if I put 2%, if your invoice is some 1,000 rupees or 2,000 rupees, so the user, whenever that operator is try to give this more than 2% cash discount, then the system is not allowed. Okay. And the permitted payment differences also. This is also common. For example, whenever we are paying some, for example, if our invoice is 800.01, but we are ready to pay 800, so we don't have 1 rupee change. So in that case also, how the system is accepted, that payment differences also we can determine here. And even some transactions we can see 801.48 or 801.52. Something, some rounding figure is also there sometimes, right? So that time, whatever we put into these differences in this column, so based on that, that works the when we are posting the transaction. Okay. So these details we need to know, and just click on save. And here I need to take my own request. Okay, so I will go to this one as well. Okay, so my entry was saved, and automatically, did you observe or not, whenever I entered my company code, so there is no currency appeared here before, but once we saved the entries, the currency is automatically picked by the system.
Yeah.
Why? Because in company code level already we define our currency. So that one is picked by the system automatically. So this is the tolerance group for the users, the first setting. Okay, in OBA4. And in our material, I mentioned clearly the path and as well as the T code. You can see in OBA4 and the screens as well, how we are selecting one by one. And even in the screen also, what is group, what is company code, and again, what is amount per document, each and every point I mentioned. So same that theory, you can see it here, the theory. Okay, so please go through this theory one time and try to
Sure.
understand in detail what is this item, this item, this item.
Yep.
Sure.
So next we are going with the tolerance group for GL account. So earlier what we did, so we maintain terms on tolerance group for employees level. Okay. So now we will try to maintain with the tolerance for GL accounts. Already I told you tolerance we can maintain based on the employees and based on GL accounts as well. Okay. So same thing. So in GL account, we can control the minimum and the maximum amount. Even the employees also we can control the maximum amount as well. The concept is same, but the maintaining of the configuration is different. Okay. So now I need to go to OBA0 here. And here I need to click on new entries. So here I need to give my some K100 company code. And here again, I didn't mention my tolerance group. I maintained some tolerance GL groups here. And again, the same point in local currency, debit postings and credit postings. So the payment permitted differences also, if you want to maintain, we can maintain. Usually these things we maintain at the time of implementation project based on the business requirement. Okay. But in our server, educational server, we don't want to maintain these are all things. Just I need to click on save.
Yep.
Okay. Next point. So next, earlier we created some tolerance group. So if you want to assign the tolerance group, we didn't maintain any tolerance group, but in real time, usually we maintain some tolerance groups, definitely. That tolerance group, if you want to assign particular user, then automatically that logic is worked automatically. So again, the transaction code is OB57. So we need to go to OB57. So now you can see, so in this server, in this thing, so my user ID is 251063. So if I want to maintain my user ID with two particular tolerance group, so it means that particular tolerance group, the restrictions and whatever we maintained earlier, the maximum amount, open items, and cash discount is automatically connected to this particular user. Okay. But in our the educational server, we don't want to maintain these things. Okay, simply we can leave it. But in real-time projects, so we need to maintain this thing as a mandatory.
Okay.
Yeah. And this is the connection point. That's it. In first step, what we maintained the tolerance group for employees. The tolerance group of employees. So earlier we didn't specify any user, right? So just we
Yeah.
specified the tolerance group. So that tolerance group we are specified to the user in this place, the OB57.
Got it.
Okay. So likewise in a tolerance group, so basically we have three steps we need to maintain. So the first step is we need to define the tolerance group for employees. And the second step is we need to define tolerance group for GL accounts. And later we are assigning users to the tolerance group. These three steps we need to done. Especially this step is not a required step. Okay. Next point. So next we need to go with the maintain global parameters. So the very important point is, so we know in financial statements, once we prepared uh, until now, the general ledgers and trial balance and P&L account and balance sheet. So after we prepared these things, even we have some additional financial statements also, like funds flow statement, cash flow statement, director report, ratio analysis. Even we have some other financial statements as well after completed the balance sheet. So that things and all in SAP, how we can maintain and how we can control things and all with the help of this concept, the global parameters. We need to go to OBY6. And in real time, this transaction code is very, very helpful to us. Why? Because whatever we maintained until the settings regarding to our company code, we can see maximum of the values of our company code in this screen. For
Okay.
example, so if I go to our company code K100, until now, whatever we defined chart of accounts, fiscal year variant, posting period variant, maximum of the details we can see in this T code OBY6. You can see here my company code is K100 and this is located in India. Currency is INR and the location is Hyderabad and language is EN. And the chart of accounts is, this is my chart of accounts and my company is K Group and credit control area I maintained earlier K100 and FM area I maintained K100. I think fiscal year variant we agreed, but we didn't define, right? This one, K1.
K1, yeah.
So yeah, I will maintain here K1. This is
Okay.
my fiscal year variant and my field status variant and posting period variant. So if it if your client is a European client, so in Europe region, so we use the VAT, the taxation. At the same time, every company code have one VAT registration number, specific one VAT registration number is there, especially the Europe countries. In India, so we have the GST, right? But
Yep.
in Europe, so they used the VAT.
Mm.
Again, the every company code, every separate legal entity, so they have their own VAT registration number. So
Yeah.
that one also we need to maintain here. Okay. And this is also very, very important step only. So 1 minute, I saved my entries. This one, the company code is productive. So what it is, what is the exact use of this field? See, the point is, especially while we are working in the implementation project. So now in SAP S/4HANA, we are going with the agile methodology. And in SAP terminology, we are called as activate methodology. So in activate methodologies, what happened? The project is going parallelly. Like implementation, we are doing parallelly. At the same time, the support also we are doing parallelly, and the testing, data migration, these things are going the parallelly. Why? Because in activate methodology, in agile methodology, the implementation we are going with some. We are splitting some releases, or we are splitting some sprints. This type of environment we worked. Why? Because see, for example, there is a one client. That client have business more than 120 countries. So now we need to implement SAP S/4HANA to that client. But the fact is, so we are not implementing 120 countries at a time to that client. It's not possible. Correct? So that time, what we need to do? So we need to split that entire 120 countries into releases approach. Release approach is nothing but we are splitting 120 countries into 12 releases, and each and every one release we are concentrating 10 countries. So in real time implementation projects, we are going like this way only. We are not implementing, if that client is a big client, we are not implementing all the things at one time. Even that's not possible. That's not possible also. But the point is, we are targeted every 10 countries as a release 1, release 2, release 3, release 4. And once the release 1 is completed, later we are going with the release 2. Not after completing that one also. I hope, do you know what is the difference between waterfall methodology and agile methodology? Any idea, Giri and Rakshana?
Mhm.
Not sure about waterfall, but agile, I think uh, in our corporate terms, we use that as, it's not a standard one, but we take agile support from different team members, and accordingly they charge something like that.
Okay, no problem. So I will explain you clearly what do you mean by waterfall and what do you mean by agile. See, basically in SAP, we have two methodologies. In ECC, we call as SAP methodology, that is accelerated SAP methodology. Okay. And where it comes to the SAP S4 HANA, we have activate methodology. But originally, these methodologies we are taking as reference from these two methodologies. It means waterfall methodology. So with the help of waterfall methodology, so the SAP is developed their own methodology, that is ASAP methodology. And this ASAP methodology we used in the ECC implementation projects. Okay. So
Okay.
in waterfall methodology, what happened, how the working environment is there like this. So first we are taking the requirement from the business. So based on the requirement, we will try to design the application, the SAP S4 application. And later we are going forward, we need to go with the implementation. Whatever we agreed in the design phase, same thing we are going with the implementation. And once we implemented and once we maintained the configuration and all, later we are going with the verification part. Verification is nothing but testing. And once the testing is done, finally we are going the project into go live. And once project is went to go live, we are going with the maintenance. So usually this is the thing we can see in the waterfall methodology. And earlier in ECC implementation project, so we used this concept only. So based on this concept only, we implemented the ECC implementation projects earlier. But since 2020, so there is no ECC implementation projects in the market. Why? Because the SAP is already stopped to sell that product to the customers. So we have only the SAP S4HANA product only in the market. And when it comes to the SAP S4 HANA, so to implementing these things and all, so our methodology is activate methodology. Okay. And this activate methodology, we are taking reference from the agile methodology. So that's the reason only many of the consultants, so they call as agile methodology, but usually we don't call as agile methodology. So based on the reference of agile methodology, the SAP introduced the activate methodology. And what do you mean by agile methodology? You can see this is the one agile. This picture we called as agile. You can see there is a requirement, design, develop, test, and deploy. But the point is when we go to the sprints approaches, whatever I said, for example, if you have 120 countries, so if you are implementing SAP from targeted wise, like first we are implementing 10 countries, next we are going 10 countries, next we are going 10 countries. These things and all parallelly we are working at a time. Okay. But earlier what happened in ACC, once the 10 company codes is completed, later we will start the second 10 company codes. But
Mm.
where it comes to the activate methodology, we need to work parallelly. It means in sprint one, so we are going with the 10 countries. Sprint two, we are going with remaining 10, and sprint three. This is not sprint one. This is sprint 1, 2, 3. And in sprint the 30 company codes. And the work wise, what is the difference between the waterfall methodology and agile methodology? So working difference wise compared to waterfall and agile, see in agile what happened in the particular first to the 10 company codes in 10 countries. So we are going with some plan preparation and design and test. Whenever we are going with some plan design, second, the sprint we started immediately. It
Mm.
means once the sprint one, the 10 company codes planning is completed and we are going with the design, we are started the second sprint, the planning.
Okay.
Okay. And the Next point is once the sprint 1 moving into test and the sprint 2 we are going with the design part, and sprint 3 we started immediately the planning session.
Mm.
Okay.
So likewise, what happened in Agile methodology, we need to work parallelly different type of phases in the implementation project. Even that is very tough to understand the consultants in the real-time working environments also. Why? Because most of the consultants, they don't know what happened in the projects. We are doing some company codes, some planning, and we are doing some company codes in design part, and we are doing some company codes. We maintain some configuration, and we maintain some company codes in testing. So this much of lot of confusion is there in the real-time working environment. The reason is this is the way how we are implementing the SAP, especially in the Activate or especially in the Agile methodology.
Okay.
But in earlier waterfall methodology, what happened? We don't have that much of confusion. So first we targeted 10, and once this is completely completed, then only we will start the second uh, release. And once the second release is went to go live completely, next we will start the release 3. But
Mm.
in Agile,
Mhm.
so we don't go with that practice. In Agile, we are going with this simultaneously one by one.
We are using
And
Agile just to speeden up the process of
exactly,
implementation.
exactly, exactly.
Oh,
Why? Because compared to waterfall and Agile, the process is very speed up.
okay.
Okay, so
Mm.
even earlier, what happened because of the CCC, the practice. So many of the clients is not choosed, especially the big clients. Whoever have the business more than 100 countries, 120, 140 countries, that clients is not they are not used with the SAP application because of this one only, the lacking of how we are implementing the SAP. It will take huge time. See the
Okay.
implementation project, so that time it was take 10 years, 15 years, 20 years as well. Why? Because see, the implementation we are not doing within 1 day, 2 days, right? So the company have across the 100 countries, 120 countries. We need to understand what the company is doing and what is the operations. So many things we need to understand before we are going with the implementation. And again, there is a some time timeline for every company when we are agreed with the implementation. So we need to follow some strict timeline. So that time earlier, what happened in ECC? So we faced a lot of challenges in the implementation. The time, so it is every time it is delayed only. But when the SAP comes with the SAP S4HANA with the agile approach, what happened? The process is very speed up. Why? Because here we are splitting our entire 120 country projects into release 1, release 2, release 3, release 4, and release 5. And we started immediately once the release 1 plan is completed. So once the release 1 we are going with the design part, then immediately the release 2 we started with the planning. And once the release 2 design is completed, immediately we started the release 3, the planning version, and release 4, release 5 simultaneously. So we are speed up our process.
Mm.
So
I think
in this
I
case,
think when the client themselves have a well-defined requirement, I think the waterfall method is better. But nowadays, the I could say fast changing world.
yeah,
Every day there are new requirements coming to the clients themselves.
correct,
So in I think waterfall method, we cannot park something, go back to
correct,
stage one, and
correct,
again start from the scratch. But with the
correct.
sprint, I think as we are doing, there is a word you used, right?
Yeah,
Linear
sprint or
method. Yeah,
yeah,
I think it
yeah,
is. This is non-linear rather, right?
correct, correct.
Yeah.
So even the tough challenge of the consultants who are not comfortable with agile methodology or who are worked more than 20 years, 30 years in SAP ECC, they are not comfortable working with this environment as well. Why? Because
Mm,
what happened now in real time, so the simultaneously every aspect is coming and going.
yeah.
And especially one more beauty point is, for example, in release one, so we did the 5 things, and this release one 10 company codes, it will goes to the production. It means the support project needs to start immediately.
Yeah.
Okay. and the release two, and every releases we targeted within 6 months, 9 months, and 1 year. So what
Mm.
happened? For example, the release one is went to go live already, and we are working with release two, release three, release four, release five simultaneously. At the same time, we need to work one side as implementation project, and another side we need to work in the support project for the release one.
Yeah.
So this is also one of the some critical working environment in the SAP S4HANA environment, especially. But in earlier, what happened? So in ECC waterfall methodology, see for example, if release one is completed, so we will hand over this release one into the some particular support team, and we are
Mm.
concentrating only the release two implementation.
Mm.
We are not worried about the release one, the support.
Mm.
But nowadays, what happened? So we need to work being a implementation consultant. Even in my last three projects also, I worked same this type of environment only. So I need to work parallelly implementation, parallelly support, and again the implementation. We have different things. Different things in the sense, in the implementation project, we have a data migration activities. Usually that one we call as data migration project, and even in the implementation project, the testing activities we call as testing project. So being a consultant, we need to work in the implementation project and the data migration project and testing project and the support project. And one more toughest point is we need to work in the enhancements as well. Why?
Oh.
Because what happened? See, in release one, we completed successfully. This is into went to go live. Okay. But after went to go live, the business is looking some customization requirements. So that time, so being a implementation consultant, we are responsible for these enhancements as well. So likewise, we need to work 4 to 5 type of projects at a time. This is the toughest challenge for the consultants nowadays. Okay.
Mm.
So earlier my project being a solution architect, I was responsible for 5 projects, 5 types
Oh.
of actions I was responsible. Okay, so
Mm.
parallelly, so I need to plan my time into implementation, support, enhancement, testing, and data migration. And that too, being a solution architect, the role is very tough to the any consultants. Why? Because we are mainly concentrating on the design part, and we need to understand the business requirement, and we need to finalize the complete the system design. And
Mm.
once we finalize the design based on that only, so the next things, the configuration and testing and the remaining things is completed. But the point is, if you are not maintained the design part is correctly according to the business requirement, that is impacted entire the project.
Mm.
Am I correct or not?
Yeah, yeah, definitely, yes.
Yeah, so that is the toughest challenge to the solution architect level of peoples. Okay, but the point is why I explained these are all points because of this point. See,
Mm.
whenever we worked in this type of environment, so out of, for example, one company is there, we are working with one client closely, and that client have 120 company codes. So in real time working environment, we have lot of confusion. Which company code is in go live and which company code is not in go live. So that time we can see that point with the help of this option. For example, if your company code is protective, is tick mark is there, it means this company code is already went to go live. So this company code, the implementation is already completed. So that purpose we can use this option. Company code is protective. Okay. And even we have other options as well. For example, if you want to maintain some workflow variant, or if you want to give access to the negative postings permitted, especially the foreign currency exchange rates, that time and all what happened. So we can see some negative postings as well. Okay.
Mm.
So
Mm.
some minus values also appeared. So I hope you have that experience already. So that things, if you want to accept that negative postings, we need to select this tick mark.
Mm.
And if you want to maintain the business areas financial statements, already I told in enterprise structure chapter. So if the business wants to maintain their financial statements based on the business area, So we need to select this tick mark. But again, in SAP S/4HANA, we don't have this feature. Okay, in ECC only we have this feature.
Okay.
And define default value date and exchange rate differences and the joint venture accounting active, hedge request, or tax reporting data active. So you can see all these fields, whatever these fields usually we are called as a global data.
Mm.
So for our company code, based on the business requirement, if your business is asking, please maintain so and so setting out of this, we need to come in this screen in OBY6 and we need to activate that feature. And once we activated here, automatically that respective feature is applicable to our company code. So that is the importance of OBY6 configuration in the system. Okay.
Right.
Yeah. Again, in OBY6, whatever we can see here, the chart of accounts, country, company, credit control area, fiscal area variant, each and everything we provided the theory. So just go through that theory and try to understand what is these concepts and all.
Sure.
Okay.
Sure.
Yeah. So now we are going with the very, very important topic. So especially from this topic onwards, we need to understand the controlling some basic settings and as well as some ledgers related settings and the currency related settings where we can see the main difference between the ECC to SAP S/4HANA. We can see the major changes we can observe in this place especially. So these things we need to understand. But before that, we need to understand the controlling part as well. So basically in SAP, so we have a finance module and as well as we have a controlling module. So in our general terminology, the controlling module is nothing but cost accounting module. Okay. So in general, in our graduation, post graduation, we know the cost accounting subject, but very the SAP, so the costing subject we need to call as a controlling. Both are same only, nothing is different. Okay. But the point is, the finance module we are using for the external reporting purpose. Okay, so it means whatever we maintain the profit and loss account, balance sheet, that and all we need to disclose to the public. Why? Because we know how the company is, the operations is run. So the shareholders is the original owners of the company, right? And the
Yeah.
shareholders we have across the global. So anyone can invest any one company and anyone can buy any other the country's company shares as well.
Stock. Yeah.
Yeah, stocks. Okay. So in this case, the controlling is the internal reporting purpose. It means the controlling module, the main objective is to control the cost to increase our the profit. So for that purpose, how to control the cost? We have some techniques, we have some methods, or we have some something. We use some principles and all. But the point is, every company they followed their own the methods. There is no standard methods as well. Okay. So usually every company have to maintain their own some principles, how to control the cost, how to reduce the cost of particular product and all. And if you control the cost, what happen? Automatically the profits is increased, right?
Yeah.
Even
Yeah.
the cost accounting, why we used that things into the SAP, the main reason is this one only. But again, the controlling, whatever we did, these are all we call as a internal reporting purpose. It means we don't want to disclose to anyone how we control the cost in the particular company as well. And that is the
Mm.
business secret as well. Okay. But the point is, whatever we posted the finance side here, these postings in finance side, we are called as a expenses. Am I correct or not? If you
Yeah.
pay some
Yeah.
rent, so rent is expense, correct?
Yeah.
So same postings is automatically we need to shift to this controlling module as well. So it means again in finance and controlling, if you want to understand the complete meaning as well. So here we need to understand the primary cost element and secondary cost elements in the CO. So there is two type of elements in CO in controlling module. So primary cost element is nothing but whatever we posted the entries in the finance module, same thing we are shifted to the controlling module as well. So this time we are called as primary cost elements. Any expenditure incurred from the finance side, all expenses we need to treat as a primary cost elements in controlling module. Okay. But where it comes to this one, the expenses in controlling side, what we need to call cost. Am I correct or not? In
Yeah.
finance, the rent is a expense. In controlling, in cost accounting, the rent is a cost.
Got it.
Am I
Yeah.
correct or not? Yeah.
Yeah.
Yes.
Especially here, the secondary cost elements is nothing but we created the secondary cost elements for the assessment and the distribution. For example, there is a one product we produced. Uh, we produced some product, and there is a some rent. Okay, and this rent, so we paid, for example, 10,000. Okay, but while we are calculating that particular product cost, okay, so if we want to know this product cost, how much of administrative expenses, how much of administrative cost is there, and how much of the factory cost is there. So
Mm.
likewise, if you want to know particularly administrative side, how much we incurred the cost, and the factory side, and this time whatever the rent we paid. So this rent we are splitting into the administrative department rent and the factory rent and the maintenance or the finance department rent and the stores department rent. So likewise, we need to split this one. Am I correct or not?
Yeah.
So these things and all, how it is possible with the help of secondary cost element. These
Mm.
are the very, very fundamental basics regarding to understand how the finance module is worked in the real time and how the controlling module is worked in the real time. Okay. So I will
Okay.
share one document as well regarding to this, the
Okay.
controlling.
Typically, whatever we have on the left corresponds to not exactly, but majorly for statutory purposes, whereas on the whatever we have on the right side, it is on,
Yeah.
assuming what kind of
We
cost we
we
have on.
are splitting it, right? Like group wise. I think
Yes.
primary is like a consolidated one,
Correct.
and secondary is like we are splitting it exactly where it the cost should be.
Exactly.
Allocated.
Exactly.
Mhm.
Mm.
So here, so I need to share this document regarding to the controlling basics. So I shared one material in our link. So same material I will open here. So here I mentioned the complete theory regarding to the basic controlling, what controlling module we need to learn in this training. Okay. Basically, this training we are main focusing the finance part, but the point is even in the finance also without CO we can't complete the finance activities. Why? Because whatever I said earlier, whatever the expenses we did in the finance, same thing only we posted in the controlling module. Okay, in controlling, we don't create any new costs or we don't create any new things. Why? Because originally the finance team only incurred this type of expenses and same things only here we used. But here for our analyzing purpose and for our points like how we can control the cost and all for our internal reporting purpose, we can use same these options into the controlling module as well. So because of that, what happened? So before we posted any general entry in the finance module, we need to connect the controlling module as well. And once we connected these two modules, then only we need to post the general entry in the finance system. The reason is whatever the finance system we posted the general entries, same things needs to displayed automatically in the controlling module. So that's the reason we have a FICO integration, the finance and controlling module integration. Okay.
Right.
And this integration usually we are doing with OKKP setting. But before we went to that OKKP setting, we need to understand what do you mean by basic the controlling settings is required, or theoretically what is mean by operating concern and the controlling area, introduction of CO, and what is the different parts of CO, how we are calculating the cost sheet. So I hope these are all the very basics only, but I mentioned very clearly what are the sub modules in controlling: cost element accounting, cost center accounting, internal orders. These are all the chapters, friends. Okay. Whatever the
Okay.
chapters we have in finance, like enterprise structure, GL, AP, AR, and asset accounting. So same in controlling, we have chapters like this: cost
Okay.
element accounting, cost center accounting, internal orders, product costing, COPA, and profit center accounting. Okay. And each and every module. So I explained the theoretically what is this cost elements and all, and cost accounting. So likewise, I mentioned the theory. Okay. Even regarding this theory explanation also, already I did some earlier batches, and same thing I was uploaded my YouTube channel as well. So I will given that videos links directly. So
Okay.
just you can go through that videos and try to understand these basic things. It just 2 hours
Sure.
sessions. I will provide that videos links in our chat. Whenever you have time, so here you can see the 1 and 2, these two videos. And the
Okay.
third video I will explain in this session. We need to maintain some settings. So that configuration I
Okay.
will explain you clearly, but theory, I hope you know almost what do you mean by these things and all. But anyway, I will given these links to you, both of you. So
Okay.
please go through these videos and please go through the document and try to understand the basic things of the controlling.
Sure.
In
Will
your
do.
channel,
Yeah.
you have all these basic things, right, Krishna?
Sorry, Rakshana.
I mean, in your channel, you have all these things, right?
Yeah, yeah,
Like
yeah, yeah,
info.
yeah,
Okay.
yeah. So you can see here, and not only these videos, friends. So in my channel, I uploaded many videos which is related to some real time, and even you can see here in some APP IDOC with APP DME. So this is also very useful video. And mostly, even if you want to do your certification, so how to book the SAP certification exam end-to-end process. So I mentioned many videos in my channel. Even I need to try to upload some other videos as well. Because of my busy schedule, I am unable to
Okay.
maintain these things. But whenever you have time now, so just go through these videos as well. This is very helpful in the real-time working environment. Okay.
Sure. Will do.
Okay.
Will do. Yeah.
Yeah. So then that's it from my end. So
Sure.
please go through this one. So this
Mm.
explanation, it will take 2 to 3 hours.
Okay.
So instead of that, so just I'm adding these two videos whenever you
Okay.
have time in Saturday or Sunday.
Mm.
So please go through these videos, and if you have any doubt or any query and any question, you can ask me, no problem. Okay.
Sure.
So tomorrow we will maintain this configuration part.
Okay.
If time permits, tomorrow I took this session. The point is the day after tomorrow, we need to start early morning 3 a.m. in
Oh.
Saturday.
Okay.
Yeah, if time permits. Otherwise, can we plan tomorrow session 8 to 9, Giri? What about your comfortable time? Is it fine?
I'm fine with 8 to 9. Yes.
Rakshana, you?
Lakshana, 8 to 9 tomorrow is fine with you?
Fine, huh?
Sorry. I think we couldn't hear you, Lakshana. Did you say we are okay? You're okay? Gopi, are you hearing Rakshana?
No, 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 no.
Yeah.
His
Your
voice
voice
is
is
not clear.
breaking.
Yeah. No problem. Otherwise, you can chat here, Rakshana. Yes or no?
Yeah.
In chat box, you can mention yes or no. If it is fine to you, 8 to 9. So tomorrow I will take the session 8 to 9. Okay.
I'm fine with 8 to 9. I have calls till 8. I think tomorrow being Friday, always I'll have limited calls.
Okay.
So, yeah.
Okay, then no problem. So I will take tomorrow session 8 to 9, and I need to sleep early. So I need to wake up at 2 a.m., not 2:30.
Sure. You stay in
Okay.
Hyderabad, is it, Gopi?
No, I am in Khammam right now. This is my hometown.